For the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, reactions to some cemeteries banning burials on Saturdays and Sundays. And in the second watch, when justices of the peace engage in unjust practices. For our social media question, we ask, what is your reaction to reports that some cemeteries are banning burials on Saturdays and Sundays? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag #TheMorningWatch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I Quote.
I Quote for this morning. Always remember that you are absolutely unique, just like everyone else. Margaret Mead. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Roisin. I have to issue an apology to you, sir.
Why is it that?
I learned only yesterday after the program that your wedding anniversary was last Monday. Belatedly, happy anniversary to you.
Thank you, sir.
Douglas.
Thank you, sir.
May you both live until you die.
That's right.
All right, the first watch will be back after this break.
All right.
In 2021, we were number one. If you're looking to earn more on your investments, invest in number one, Sigma Global Funds, the top performing funds in 2021. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar equity funds, we were number one. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar fixed income funds, we were number one. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar balanced funds, Sigma Global Funds was number one. Earn more on your investments. Invest in the number one funds in Jamaica, Sigma Global Funds, from Sagicor Investments. Conditions apply.
What would I do without you? You help me carry on, you help me stay strong. Whenever I'm down and can get through, you lift me up again and going all day long. Precious moments we share with you, everything's so right. It's clear, nothing else can compare to the taste that you bring to life. Mom, take it full of life.
Phoenix Health and Vision Center now has 2 locations. St. Anne's Bay, 65 Main Street beside the health center. And now Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. You heard me right. Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. The only full-service eye care center for all your designer frames and designer glasses. Plus, complete eye care. Book all your appointments now in St. Anne's Bay. Call 876-972-2388. 876-589-8327. For Falmouth and its environs, call this number, 876-533-0540. Looking forward to seeing you at both locations. Phoenix Health and Vision Center. Now at Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. JN Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Ugly behavior, unruly, gun toting. These are some of the negative phrases and words associated with some of the mourners at some funerals. According to an April 20 Observer article, this constitutes one of the main reasons why some cemeteries have decided to suspend funerals on weekends. Besides, the over-concentration of funerals held on Saturdays and Sundays has reportedly proven burdensome for them. Are these reasons valid and acceptable? And what are the main implications and issues arising from such decisions? Well, to answer these and other questions, we have joining us online the Reverend Valentine Wallace, pastor of the Jericho Circuit of Baptist Churches in St. Catherine, and Mr. Joseph Cornwall, managing director of Tranquility Funeral Home. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Toussaint.
Yes, really good. All right, good to have you join us this morning. Let me just cut to the chase, gentlemen. What are your opening views on the continuing closure of some cemeteries on Saturdays and Sundays and the reported reasons for doing so? Beginning with you, Mr. Cornwall. Mr. Cornwall, still is he on?
I'm hearing you clearly. Could you repeat for me, please?
I'm sorry. I'm saying, what are your opening views on the continuing closure of some cemeteries on Saturdays and Sundays and the reported reasons for doing so? All right, not hearing Mr. Cornwall. Reverend Wallace?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Let's start with you then. Mr. Cornwall seems to be having some technical challenges.
Okay, good morning, Dr. Toussaint, and good morning, listeners.
Morning, Rev.
Yes, I consider the closure of some of our cemeteries on Saturday and Sundays to be a very interesting development at this time. You see, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted us in many ways. And I believe that this is one of the ways in which it is impacting us. Because pre-COVID-19 pandemic, I've never heard about anyone, contemplating avoiding Saturdays and Sundays as days for having funerals. But I believe the COVID-19 pandemic has given us a chance to do some reflection that, perhaps we were never doing before. And for me, this is a very interesting development, and it is offering us a significant opportunity for us to seriously assess the ways in which we do funeral services.
Are you in agreement with it? Do you have any problem with the closure?
No, I have absolutely no no disagreement with it. The point is,
where's that, Rev? Where's that?
Yes. I recognize that there are positives that are associated with it, and there are also negatives. And I say this particularly because I know that the closure on the weekend may impact some persons economically, and some of the expenditure that the loved ones of the deceased would have to spend, and so on, may not be forthcoming again. Mm-hmm. I know that. So there are some persons who are impacted negatively. But on the other hand, it is very positive because I can tell you it has we have learned, especially through the COVID-19 pandemic, that funerals can be held on other days of the week, and you can get significant support from, friends and relatives and others during the week as well as over the weekend. So for me, I have no issue with it. And I think where persons may be having challenge, I think that there are many ways in which they can be resolved.
As you mentioned about support, during the weekdays, most people are at work, and at school. So I'm thinking that the tradition developed over the years, because over the weekend, persons would not be at work, would be at school and could attend. Based on your experience over the past 2 years, I'm not sure. Wouldn't that still be an issue?
Yes. Dr. Toussaint, most of us are Jamaican. We have a problem if we have a funeral service and we don't have a crowd. Some persons feel that it is making a statement about a family and maybe about the individual who is being interred.
Interesting.
And so we have a culture where we want to see a big crowd. But I noticed that during the COVID-19 pandemic, things were different. I saw a number of funeral services that were held with a very small group of persons at the cemetery, and they were buried the same. And so my thing is, although we want to have everybody come in, and it is a good show, but I don't think that anything is lost by not having the crowd there. Yes, I don't think so. In fact, I have been thinking that the loved ones of these persons perhaps fare better by having a smaller crowd than. And from what some have said to me personally, they saw it as a blessing in disguise.
Financially at least. Let me interesting points you raised in there, Reverend Wallace. Let me bring in Mr. Cornwall. Mr. Cornwall,
yes, I'm here.
Yes, from your perspective, what are your views on the continuing closure of some of the cemeteries on Saturdays and Sundays, and the reasons that they have given?
Well, traditionally, over the years, funeral services have been held on 2 days that could be considered the major days, because people are off from work on a Saturday and a Sunday. A lot of people don't work on weekends, excepting for overtime. So they would have time to actually attend the funeral service, whether it's in Kingston or parishes outside of Kingston. So it is also, as I mentioned earlier on, the time is off from work. Most people don't work on weekends, so traditionally Saturday and Sundays have automatically become the choice days for funerals. Yes.
So are you okay with it? Are you okay with it, Mr. Cornwall? I just want to make sure. Are you okay?
Well, as far as our funeral home is concerned, we will facilitate a funeral any day of the week, so long as it is in keeping with the protocol. Yes.
And has this been affecting you? Has this been affecting you?
The bereaved families and their availability. And as I mentioned before, the two traditional days are Saturdays and Sundays.
So just to be clear, you are okay with it? It's working out fine for you, the exclusion of Saturdays and Sundays?
Yes. That will, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Bear in mind that we have to work with the bereaved families.
Right. All right. We're up on a break, gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Okay.
JMGI Online. It's so easy. Quote by renew. JMGI Online. It's just right for you. JMGI Online. Easy access anywhere, anytime. It only takes minutes. Just jump online. Your insurance must be up to date. No long phone calls and no long wait. Quote by renew.
JMGI Online Motor Insurance, powered by JM General Insurance.
Regin, how are you do? You must put your money for a rainy day, brother. No, man. The money they need to put in our bank account. No one bag of money and document money for open a bank account. We don't have all of that. You don't need none of that with an NCB Quick Save account. All you need is a valid ID, your TRN, and your $100 deposit. No minimum balance, no ABM fees, and no point of sale transaction fees. Plus, government will give you $2,500 for them kind of account here. What you know, sir?
With an NCB Quick Save account, all you need is your TRN $100 deposit and a valid government ID. Visit your nearest NCB branch to apply today. Conditions apply.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
Morning, Sister Mary. See me bring you a few things to help you out this week.
Thank you, my love. I don't know how I would have managed without the church family.
No problem, sister. By the way, me have some good news for you. You hear about the social pension program?
Social what?
Social pension.
No. What that?
Government bring in a new program that provide money for older people like you who don't have no steady income, no pension, and don't benefit from no government program. Them pay it out every 2 months.
You think me we qualify?
You did help to build this country. And now that you all and you struggle, that make you qualify.
That's true. So what me have to do to get it?
Well, you have to take your documents and apply down at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security office. Then they start taking application from in May, and some people all start get the money from middle of July.
Sister Keisha, that sound good. But I don't know if I can manage all that up and down for go apply and then go collect money a month time, you know. Me not so strong again.
Ministry of that covered, Sister Mary. You can appoint an agent to help you with that if you can't manage.
Why, it's good to know that government looking out for we old people. We make a contribution and now we don't have nothing.
The government of Jamaica has introduced a social pension program for elderly Jamaicans who do not live in a government care institution or receive cash grants from any welfare program and who do not receive a pension or NIS benefits. You can't afford to miss out. Visit the Ministry of Labour and Social Security's office in your parish to apply. You must take your birth certificate, a government ID card, your NIS and TRN cards, and your bank account details to facilitate payment of your benefits. Don't have a bank account? Not to worry. We will pay your benefits through a remittance agency. Apply now. For more information, call 876-922-8007 or check the ministry's website at www.mlss.gov.jm. The Social Pension Program, caring for our elderly. A message from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And after that long break, we are still discussing reactions to some cemeteries banning burials on Saturdays and Sundays. And in so doing, we have online Mr. Joseph Cornwell, Managing Director of Tranquility Funeral Home, and the Reverend Valentine Wallace, Pastor of the Jericho Circuit of Baptist Churches in St. Catherine. Reverend Wallace, I'm just curious. I am just curious. If allowance for burial were to be subsequently given for Saturday or Sunday, which day would be your preference, sir, and why?
That's an interesting question. I, the truth is, I would prefer, if I have to make a choice, I'll prefer Saturdays. Because in my situation, when you pastor a circuit of churches on a Sunday, you will have multiple worship services. And therefore, you end up having a very busy and sometimes a very challenging day. And so it would be very difficult for me to include a funeral service, on a Sunday. However, I know that for some pastors, that is their best day. And I often wonder how they manage to do their own worship service in church and also to accommodate a funeral. Because when I have a funeral, let's say I have a funeral on a Saturday, my entire day sometimes is taken up just focusing on the funeral because you have the church service, and then from there you have to go to the cemetery. And then sometimes there are other incidents that may take place, which sometimes you have to give attention to. And it can be very, very challenging and demanding. So while I am not a fan of the weekend funeral services, if I have to make a choice, Saturday would be my day of choice.
Yes. I don't know if Mr. Cornwell wants to chime in terms of his view, but I want to also respond to this question, Mr. Cornwell. What are some of the major challenges you face, whether on weekdays or weekends, when engaging in funerals in Jamaica today? Mr. Cornwell?
Well, as far as the pandemic is concerned, we have seen a reduction in the amount of funerals that we would normally undertake on weekends. So our numbers are trending down. More bereaved families are considering Monday to Fridays, which is very good for us as far as we are concerned. Because formerly we would have had funerals within Kingston, St. Andrew, and the other parishes on a Sunday or a Saturday, and it would put our resources on what I would call overtime. So if we have to facilitate, because traditionally Saturdays and Sundays were the 2 days that the denominations would use for hosting funerals. But as far as the pandemic is concerned, it has put a damper on things, and we are seeing more funerals on weekdays than on Saturdays.
The article referenced, Mr. Cornwell, these funeral homes stating that they are accustomed to gun toting, violent behavior, disruptions, especially on the weekends. Have you seen a reduction in that now that more of the funerals are being held in weekdays?
Yeah, I've not had any recent experience of any violence or any behavior that would be considered as violent in recent times.
Since the pandemic?
Yes, since the pandemic.
Okay, so the pandemic has been a blessing in that regard?
Well, if you put it that way, yes. We are trying to sort of break from tradition. We are forced to act because if the churches are not hosting funerals on weekends, it means that we would have to facilitate them in our funeral chapel or any venue or place that would accommodate them.
Yeah. Interesting. So it means that we're going to see a paradigm shift then, because it seems as if this continues, more cemeteries are going to also suspend weekend funerals, and then the weekdays become the norm. It seems that way, Reverend Wallace. What challenges you face though, even with the weekdays, Reverend Wallace?
Yeah, I find that the weekdays are a more comfortable time, if I might use that word, to have the funeral services. Pre-COVID, the weekdays, were used, but
Yes.
not to the extent that the pandemic has forced us to use them. But now I am convinced that that is the better time to do funeral services, and there are a number of reasons. Um, I know the crowd is more manageable. Two, the rude behavior that we sometimes see on a weekend is less. And we talk about in the article, we talk about the gun tooting and so on. I must say that I've seen it during the week, just as I sometimes encounter it on a weekend.
Okay.
You just never know when this will take place, depending on the funeral that you're doing.
Okay.
And also in terms of the behavior, I find that, if I may use this phrase, sometimes the behavior during the week is of some of those who attend the funeral service are much more sane than it is over the weekend.
Yes.
Also, at the graveside, I find that things are more manageable. That is during the week. And so if I had a choice and I was able to make a full determination, I would stick certainly with Monday to Friday.
Yeah. Interesting. So both of you are on the same page and the scene with these cemeteries that have suspended weekend funerals. Time is winding down. As we wrap up, as major practitioners in the process between death and burial, what suggestions or recommendations would you give to the bereaved and those associated with them? Beginning with you, Reverend Wallace, and then Mr. Cornwall.
Yes. The first thing I would say to those grieving is, do not allow anyone to tell you that funeral cannot be held during the week. Yeah, that it can only be held on Saturdays and Sundays, because the weekdays are just as good. Secondly, our friends need to know that a big crowd is not necessary for a funeral service to be held, and the pre-pandemic experience should have assisted us. Thirdly, focus on interring your loved one with dignity, not with any kind of unnecessary, expenditure. Do not allow people to set your budget and tell you what you need to do, or else a funeral cannot be held. So what I'm actually saying, stay within your budget, because there are too many persons who after funeral have a difficulty living. In most cases, there's a pastor. I would say that please talk to your pastor and let him give or her give the guidance. Because I believe most of our pastors are, willing to help, whether the person is a member of the congregation or just a part of the community. And the last thing I would say to our bereaved, families, get the necessary counseling, because that is crucial when everything is said and done.
Well said. Mr. Cornwall, you have a minute.
Yes, well, in closing, I would say that the bereaved families will have to reconsider their decisions. A funeral can be held any day of the week, but weekends are a little bit more challenging because it involves the payment of overtime, the payment of the availability of staff who would probably have to attend their own churches, whether it's a Saturday, it's Seventh-day Adventist, or a Sunday. And the reasons go on and on. So
right,
whatever
we got to
the
leave it there.
government is comes up with, we'll be willing to work with it so long as it is practical.
A fitting note on which to end. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Have a productive, safe day. All the best.
And thank you for having me. And the same
Bless
to you.
you. Bless you. Bless you. The Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Apply today for DBJ Recovery Line of Credit or Go Digital Loan to help you find a way. The time by J&B Bank Small Business Loans. It is now 7:31. You're tuned to Love 101, the family station.
Giselle, connect with Brata. Enjoy all your favorite apps and more on Jamaica's fastest network. Activate the Prime Brata bundle for as low as $175 by dialing *147 number sign from your Digicel phone or in the My Digicel app. Connect!
Alright, connect with Brata. Digicel Prime Brata. Data can't done.
It's Easter time at H&L Rapid True Value. From April 21 to 30, get up to 75% off select lighting, houseware, and Hotesh tools. Plus, special offers on building materials. The Easter fun doesn't end there. Don't miss our Easter egg giveaway, April 22 to 24. Spend $10,000 excluding GCT for your chance to select an egg and win a shopping spree valued at $100,000. Conditions apply.
Ladies, this is a public service announcement. Have no fear. Do your pap smear. For you no one crosses, take you down there. Now the way this your test, your set up and design is to pick up early warning sign before any cancer start to appear. And if you get treatment, then you don't care. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Love and big up and respect yourself. Make sure that you protect yourself. We do your pap smear, you fit protect yourself.
A message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash. Pay the rent, pay the bills or buy the grocery. Make a call for the cash and pay the school fee.
Money when and where you need it. Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. Convenient locations island-wide. A member of the Sagicor Group.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, ECC sack 3 principals in delinquency crackdown. And also, tearful cabbie in sex worker saga retracts claims against cops. In the Gleaner, toll bosses want power to fine pedestrians and tailgate cheats. Interested? In the Observer, blacklisted. Education Minister mulls closing several early childhood institutions. And also we're seeing in the Observer, it's so hard to know that I have to bury my last child. And then CXC bows, relief, worry, as regional exams pushed back for 3 weeks. We're happy for those students. We hope that they will use the time wisely. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What is your reaction to reports that some cemeteries are banning funerals or burials on Saturdays and Sundays? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
It's Love 101 FM. Just a quick message from our friends over there at CCRP, Caribbean Community of Retired Persons. If you're 50 and over, a CCRP membership has many benefits. CCRP offers you great health plans through Gallagher Insurance Brokers and Sagicor, affordable home and auto insurance through J&JI Silver Shield, as well as a world of fun experiences and discounts from your favorite service providers and retailers. Also, we do outreach and advocate for the elderly. Visit ccrponline.org or any of our offices in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Mandeville and Ocho Rios. Join CCRP today and live life to the fullest. That was a message from our friends over there at CCRP. This is Love 101 FM, the family station. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876 220 6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Roshane for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What is your reaction to reports that some cemeteries are banning burials on Saturdays and Sundays? Roshane.
All right, let's start with this one.
I am so glad, brother. I'm so glad that there's no week. Some of them don't take the weekend funeral because these people take funeral for dance and party. They come in the churchyard, they're smoking ganja, they're doing this because they have free time. Most likely they would be somewhere else during the week. I love it. I love it. You don't have to have a crowd to get buried. Nothing goes like that. Throw away the tradition and go on to something else.
Good morning to you all. Funeral can keep anytime, so long as the relatives, family member are there and willing, and the pastor, you have the pastor to do the burial. So you can keep anytime, and you have everything ready. You don't wait. Big up to my pastor, Reverend Valentine Wallace.
All right, those are the ones we have at this time. Well, for the others, because of time, gonna be have to turn things over to you. All right.
All right, a lot of them coming in.
Yes.
And as I said, big up to Reverend Wallace, her pastor. All right, it seems as if many people are warming to the weekday funerals and burials. We now segue into the second watch. Now, since 2010, only 14 JPs have reportedly been decommissioned. Only 14 because of misconduct. And to the chagrin of the Ministry of Justice, headlines like corrupt justices and injustice of the peace in a recent edition of the Gleaner won't help their reputation or their integrity. But why is it? Why is it that JPs go rogue? And what really happens to them when they do? Well, to discuss these and other related issues, we have joining us the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, and Dr. Lyndon Rose, President of the Lay Magistrates Association of Jamaica. Good morning to you both.
Hi, good morning, Dr.
Toussaint and Dr. Rose. Dr. Toussaint. Good morning, Dr.
Morning.
Minister Chuck.
Good to have you both. Let me from the outset commend and celebrate the law-abiding, hard-working JPs out there. Your valuable and invaluable contribution to national development should never be taken for granted, and I'm sure the gentlemen online concur. Gentlemen, what are your general concerns, though, in regards to so-called rogue JPs? Beginning with you, Minister.
Well, Dr. Toussaint and your listeners, good morning. First of all, there are very, very few who are engaged in inappropriate conduct. We have on the books about 9,000 GPs, and probably less than 1%, much less than 1%, are actually engaged in what we consider to be breaches of the Justice of the Peace Act 2018. And these breaches, you know, most people would not see them as breaches, but for the JPs, they are breaches. The work of a JP is voluntary. You're not to charge for anything you do. Regrettably, a few JPs set up offices, go to various government institutions, and make themselves available to perform services for a fee. It is wrong. It must not be done. It is something that the ministry has repeatedly said must be avoided. Again, there are also JPs who, in desperation, I dare say, on many occasions from the citizens who require a recommendation, maybe to get employment or to be able to open a bank account. And so they're desperate and they seek recommendations from JPs. And these JPs, in many instances, do not know them. So it is not appropriate for them to be recommending someone that he or she doesn't know. So these are the two main areas where GPs have got into inappropriate conduct and in breach of the Justice of the Peace Act. But I dare say the vast majority, 99+% of our JPs have acted honorably, with integrity, and if I dare say, they represent the best of our citizens in Jamaica.
Yeah, Dr. Rose, your take on that? Any concerns additionally or similarly?
Good morning, listeners. I want to agree with Minister Chuck and all the pointers, because yes, there are a few rogue JPs, but the vast majority of our justices of the peace are good, honest citizens of Jamaica who are making their contributions in the development of this country. So we can't simply put everybody in one container and say all the JPs are bad. Only a few of them get out of line. And when they do, there's a process. You can't simply say because you get a report that man is guilty. There has to be an investigation. That's already just said Dr. to say that only 14% have. But there has to be an investigation. I've been done the investigation so that a decision that will decommission or not. And until that is done, it can't happen. Because in our country, every citizen is innocent until proven guilty.
The other problem too, Dr. Toussaint, as Dr. Rose will confirm, oftentimes you'll hear these reports and people make these allegations, and when you ask them, are you prepared to send in a written report or to appear at the disciplinary committee to indicate that this GP has acted inappropriately by accepting payment or make a recommendations which should not have been done, no one really would like to come forward. You see, because oftentimes they've got a service which they really want, and therefore, they're not prepared to come forward. But, without the assistance of the citizens who appreciate and recognize that the JP has acted inappropriately, there's very little that the custos of the parish or the Ministry of Justice can do. So we have always appealed to the citizens. Yes, when you know a JP is engaged in misconduct, not only bring it to our attention, not only confront the GP to say you're not doing what is correct, but at least be prepared to
Yes.
give us the appropriate documentation so we can take action.
Tell you what, gentlemen, we're up on a break. We'll be right back.
50 and over, get the best health plan as well as fabulous discounts. Visit ccrponline.org today or call 469-1944 and live life to the fullest. The time by CCRP is...
It is now 7:45, approaching 7:46. This is Love 101.
For sale. It's our third look at this place. Let's buy.
Here we come. Home ownership is a big deal, so move in merrily with CIBC First Caribbean. With your new mortgage, you'll get half off the appraisal cost, commitment fee, and more. Enjoy up to 95% financing and a homeowner benefits card, redeemable at selected hardware, furniture, and appliance stores. Nice zone. We moved in
merrily.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/move merrily for details.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
I'm advice I don't know all the shot and tally. I have a message to everyone. Get vaccinated. Hey, tourism the main driver of the local economy. It provides us with job, save the country. So everybody in the industry, get the job and come follow me. It don't hurt to the nerd. Link the nurse cause the vaccine work. Get vaccinated. Get this is a message from the Ministry of Tourism. Get vaccinated. Just get vaccinated. Vaccinated. You're deaf?
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the second watch, we are discussing when justices of the peace engage in unjust practices. And in so doing, we have online the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, Dr. Lyndon Rose, President of the Lay Magistrates Association of Jamaica. Minister Chuck, earlier in the program, you had mentioned the whole matter of the reporting and all that goes with that and some of the difficulties therein. But as was said earlier, if only 14 JPs have been decommissioned since 2010 because of misconduct, that's a little over one per year. There are concerns, I would believe, in terms of why is it only that small number? What about sting operations, for example?
Well, that is something that is being contemplated. The position is that to set up a proper sting operation is a matter which the custodies, myself, and many others have suggested, and there's no doubt that that will be done so that we can weed out those JPs who are engaged in misconduct. So the answer is yes. It is, that is one methodology to remove these JPs.
Yes. And well, any time frame in terms of when that's going to be?
It is being done.
It's being done now?
And JPs have been warned that if they're caught, they will be decommissioned. But, the truth of the matter is that it is not as widespread as people believe, For instance, when I discuss with the custodians, there are many GPs who make themselves available close to various government institutions, and they actually act voluntarily and provide the service. So that, people may believe they're charged, but oftentimes they make themselves available. They they discharge their obligations voluntarily, and no one complains.
There are allegations. I'm so sorry. Please go ahead, Minister. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt that there are a few instances, and we have heard, of these misconduct at drivers' examination depot or the tax offices. Right. These are the areas which we know that a few GPs have made, themselves and bringing the vocation into disrepute. So those are the areas which we definitely will carry out sting operations.
Okay. Dr. Rose, what role does the Lay Magistrates Association play in identifying and reporting these so-called rogue JPs?
The minister says we have tried in many ways to assist in this regard. We have, for example, the situation, when it comes to finance, they have a tendency of putting bulk documents together, for example, and sending it to a particular JP as signature. And we have had to deal with situations like those, contacting the relevant institution and explain to them that is not the way to do business. And even to contact the justice of the peace. In one instance, I remember.
Sorry, Dr. Rose, could you speak in the instrument more, please? Directly into the instrument. We're not hearing you all the while.
I'm using a Bluetooth.
Yes, go ahead.
So, are you hearing me better now?
A whole lot better. Go ahead.
And in one instance, for example, reporting that justice of the peace to the customs of the parish, where an investigation was carried. So we have been acting proactively to deal with some of these issues regarding justice of the peace.
Let me also add, Dr. Toussaint, as Dr. Rose know, that the lay magistrates have been doing yeoman service, but their main concentration really is to provide service in the lay magistrates courts and many other services. But we have now put together in every parish, we have asked the JPs and the custodies to form parish associations. And one of the focus of these parish associations is to be self-protecting of the integrity of all GPs in that parish. So to the extent that, say, in Manchester, you have just under 400 GPs, all of whom have reported, sent in their annual reports, all of whom are in contact with the customs, then they must self-regulate. And where they see their colleagues involved in inappropriate conduct, to not only speak to their colleagues, but also the customs. And if any inappropriate conduct should continue, then that's the basis for which a disciplinary committee of that parish association could be set up by the customs, and that JP could be decommissioned. So apart from the sting operation, which I mentioned earlier, I have urged all the lay magistrates chapters and the parish associations to please self-regulate, because when one GP engage in misconduct, it affects and tarnishes the reputation of all GPs, not only within the parish, but across Jamaica. And, just like Dr. Toussaint, when one pastor engage in misconduct, everybody believes that pastor do this.
Yes.
You can see how very often the media, in highlighting a misconduct, the implication is to tarnish everyone within that vocation.
The same goes for politicians, eh?
And police and everyone.
Right. And I'm both. I am both a pastor and a JP. Anyway, Dr. Rose, what should be the response to those who want to give a contribution to the justice of the peace? They don't see it as paying the person, but just a contribution, knowing that the person's time has been taken up.
Even a contribution should not be accepted, because the person looking on won't know the difference.
Must know the difference. So they should not accept even a contribution. It's not a payment.
It's not a contribution. So when you go to an office and you say, JP has a pan or a tin open over a box and say, put your contribution, and it's not a contribution, that is illegal.
What about those who don't have that box? That they have no tin, they have no box, but the person in leaving, let me just leave this with you. I just want to thank you for your time.
Even that doesn't matter. There should be no compensation of any kind.
You see, Dr. Toussaint, we have to be very careful.
Yes.
You see, when we say no payment, I think a GP must not lower their standard by accepting $1,000, $2,000. I mean, this is chicken feed. So when you do something for someone and they give you $1,000 or $2,000, I'm not denying that for many GP it might help them to buy bread, but it is not appropriate. It's just not appropriate. You should just say to the person contributing, sorry about that. We are voluntary work. We do not accept contribution or payment. That's the position.
Yes, and someone has sent in asking about lunch. What about the person saying, not money, but let's go for lunch? I'm going to take you out for lunch. They should say no.
You're careful.
They should say no.
Nothing shows a person's integrity, or at least it indicates a person's integrity when they can act voluntarily and refuse any sort of compensation or any sort of contribution, anything that may intend to lower their standard. Nothing is wrong, by the way, if you and the person are friends and the person invites you for lunch or dinner, not for the work that you're doing, but because you and the person are friends. One of the things, which in all sincerity is very important is that the GPs that we have, and as I say, 99% of them, we are empowering them not only to be able to act voluntary, but we urge them, within your business, within your general personal development, you must empower yourself that in many ways you are an example to the rest of the society. So that if you're going out there accepting contribution, then it doesn't look good. Okay?
Yeah, since we have you on, Minister Chuck, I'm sure you have been asked this question already, perhaps not on Love FM, but we want to ask it. What's your response to those who argue that if JPs are allowed to charge for their services, it would assist in reducing the corrupt practices of some JPs? For example, as you know, notary publics in the United States.
Well, we're totally against that because for the vast majority of Jamaicans, the service is done voluntary, and many Jamaicans can't pay. So, to do so, it would mean that only those who can pay will be able to access the service of a GP, which would be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so, the average pensioner, the average man in the street who is looking a job, who can barely afford a bus fare, when he goes on a GP, say it is $1,000 or $2,000, if we allow that. Can you imagine the burden on a man who is unemployed? Pensioner. What does it mean? No, not only that.
Good answer. Good answer.
Fraudulently.
Yeah. Good answer. Dr. Rose, you have the final word in 1 minute.
Dr. Toussaint, the vast majority of justices of the peace are honest people of integrity.
Yeah.
The rogue justices need to be weeded out, and the sooner the better.
Okay. and you, Minister Chuck.
May I just say, if you don't mind me having the final word, we do have all GPs must send in their annual report, and the main reason for this annual report is basically so that the Ministry of Justice can keep in touch with them. At the moment, we want to be able to send email addresses to all GPs, but I have to admit at the moment that of the 9,000 known GPs, only 5,500, actually less than 4,000, still remain to send in their annual reports. And it's very important that they do, because the Ministry of Justice want to be able to keep in touch with all GPs. Okay?
Okay, and I hear a number of JPs saying ouch instead of amen. All right.
Thanks, man. All the best to you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, Dr. Rose, all the best. Bye now.
Okay, Minister. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been The Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Miss Kathy Gale, and our guests. Please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastors and members of the Maxfield Avenue Church of God of Prophecy as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Roshane Douglas.
Thank you so much, JP and Pastor Dr. Toussaint.
All right, anniversary, man. Enjoy the rest of the week.
All right, blessings.
NHF beneficiaries enrolled for diabetes can get a glucometer with use of their NHF card. Apply online at nhf.org.jm. The time by the NHF is...
It is now 8 o'clock right here on the Family Station.